Welcome to this series. In this one, we're building a 2D top-down racer in Unity from scratch, complete with AI opponents that have real personalities and skill levels, oil slick hazards, wall bounce collisions, a full race lifecycle with countdown and leaderboard, persistent best lap times, and multiple selectable tracks. And we'll make sure that we use proper patterns throughout, scriptable objects for data-driven config, states for car behavior, event-driven architecture to keep everything separated, object pooling, spline-based track and waypoint generation, and even coroutine tweens for effects. So we're going to go a little bit beyond the basics. To be able to follow along with this course, you're going to need some game assets, and I've just a few minutes ago, as you can see here, pushed these up onto a repo on GitHub. You should have a link to this repo in the description to this particular video. That is bluefeversoft/Unity 2D Racer. To get hold of the assets, pretty simple. Just go to code on the right-hand side and download a zip. Make sure you extract that zip, and when we get into the project, we're going to drag and drop the game assets folder into the project. Before we jump to the project, though, a quick word on the repository. After each lesson, what I'm going to do is push the code up for that lesson onto its own branch. So as you go through the series, you'll be able to click up here, find the branch for your specific lesson, and get hold of the code for that lesson if you need to. And then regarding Unity itself, for this series, I'm using version 6000.3.10 F1 long-term support. And once you've downloaded and extracted the assets, please create a new Unity project and make sure that it's the Universal 2D Core project, as I've got where my mouse is wiggling here. Once you do that, your project should start loading, and I'll see you in the Unity IDE. Okay then, so I've made a brand new 2D project inside Unity. Now, if you're really new to Unity and you're looking at a very different layout to me, you can always reset yours. That's what I've done with mine. So go to Window, Layouts, and Reset all layouts, and you'll see then hopefully the same layout that I do on the screen here. You may have noticed I'm quite zoomed in. I've set it for this particular series 150% zoom in the hope that you can actually see something. So I will be a little bit squashed up for the series. I hope that's okay for you. And then likewise, if you are new to Unity and you're looking at the scene and the game tabs here and you're not seeing these controls here, you should be seeing this one down the bottom here. The left-hand one here you can toggle by using this button here, and the one at the top here you can toggle by using this button here. So if they ever disappear, you can get them back using those buttons. So to start off with, what I'd actually like to do is rename our sample scene. So selecting the assets here, we've got the scenes folder here, and looking at this actually, I'm going to go back to assets and just drag the zoom so we get a file list. That's a little bit better. Go into scenes, right click on sample scene, and then we can go to rename. I'm going to call this one Monaco. And then selecting the root of the scene, right click game object and create empty, which is also Control Shift and N as a shortcut, and change the name of this to track. And then with the track selected, please make sure on the right hand side that your transform has 0 for position, 0 for rotation, and 1 for scale. If it doesn't, go to the 3 dots and just click reset. Otherwise, you're going to get some strange issues later on. So in this particular video, we'll build out the visuals and get our car sort of moving in a straight line across the screen. To do that, we need some assets so we can actually see something. So I'm going to select the assets folder down the bottom here, and then I've downloaded and extracted the zip from the Git repo. In there should be the game assets folder. We can just drag and drop that into here, and Unity should whir away and import those assets. So if we go into the game assets folder, you should see a load of images and then also a font as well. So hopefully everything's okay there. With that done, what we can do then is we can select the track, go to right click and create empty and call this background. And on the right hand side, add component SPRI. You should find there the sprite renderer. Then we can click the little circle here on the right hand side. And then we want the water BG_0, this one down here. Could also get the slider here so you can actually see these. We're looking for the water one here. So double click on that, and that sets our water. Now you can see it's not quite fitting the screen there, but we haven't set that up yet actually. So let's go to the game. Instead of free aspect, let's set full HD. Drop the scale right down so I can actually see something. That's better. Then go back to the scene and actually get hold of the main camera, and let's set the projection size to 5.4, and that should fit the artwork pretty much okay. In fact, I can see it has. Now to be absolutely safe here with the edges and things like that, what I'll do is pan this a bit in the middle. We can grab hold of our background image here, click the little link next to the scale here, hover over the X, and I'll just drag with the mouse a tiny bit and make sure it goes around the edges of the screen there, and do Control S to save. Now let's add our track image as well. So selecting the background, I'm going to do Control and D to duplicate and change this to track image. Then on the right hand side, click the circle. And for this one, we're going to do this green one here, which is the Monaco track. At least that's what I've called it. So I'll double click on that. Now that's actually gone behind the background. So what we'll do is we'll make some sorting layers, which will help us later on as well when we've got cars and particles and things like that. So with the track image selected, if we go to the sprite renderer here, down to the sorting layer, we can click add sorting layer, click the plus, and we'll change this to background, and then another plus, and we'll call this track, and then another plus, and we can make one for the car, which is coming up in a moment. Anyway, with that done, we can select the track image, then go down to the sorting layer and select track, and go to the background, sorting layer, and select background. And then selecting the track image, it could be a little bit bigger, I think. So with the link together on the scale here, what I'm going to do is grab hold of this and just expand this a little bit like this. And I think that should be more than okay. I'll just check the game preview. Yeah, that looks pretty good. We do need some space in the corners here for the UI later on, but that's looking pretty much okay, I think. So I'll do Control S to save. With that done then, let's also add in our car. So with the root of the scene selected again, what we can do is make another game object. So I'll right click game object and create empty and call this one car. And then what we'll do is we'll add the sprite to this. So we can right click, create empty again, and I'm going to call this visuals. On the right hand side, go to Add Component, another sprite renderer. You'll see in a moment why we're adding this one as a child. I'll come back to that. But on the right hand side, let's click the circle here and load the blue car. Why not? Then on the right hand side, with the visual selected, go to the sorting layer and select car. And we should be able to see our car. Let's go to the game. We can see it there. Let's go to the scene. And we can't really see it here, can we? But that's because there's a load of gizmos and things in the way here, aren't there? So what we can do with the toolbar up here is actually just turn these off, and then we can see it a little bit better. Cool. So I'm going to zoom out a bit, actually. Grab hold of our car there. Get hold of the move tool. And just move the car down somewhere onto the straight bit here, I think, for later on. And zoom in. So we have our visuals here and our car here. Now, the reason we've made the visuals a child here is because by default, the sprite is facing in the wrong way. So what you're going to see later on is we're going to actually move our car around. If I select the root node here, we're going to move it along its local X, so along the red arrow like this. So by making the visuals a child, what we can do is select them and actually rotate them by -90 in the Z, which is then a clockwise rotation. That'll be useful to remember for the steering as well. And now if we select the root object again, we then move along the local X, but this time it looks like it's actually driving forwards rather than crabbing sideways. So we should be good to go already. I'm going to run this, just double check I haven't broken anything. Surely not. We don't have any code or anything yet. Okay, good. So we can see there. The car's a little bit small though, actually. So let's close this down. Select the visuals here. Let's have a look at the scale. Let's link this together and move this up to, yeah, I think that probably is a little bit better. I'm going to run this again. So I've got 1.22 for the scale there. Let's have a look how that is. Is that any better? Yeah, that's looking a little bit better, I think. So I'll close that down. And then to finish off this setup video, what we can do is just get the car moving in a straight line across the screen. To do that, we're going to add a component to our car. So let's select the car, and we're going to add a car motor to the car. You'll see when the game is finished, we'll have lots of components on the cars. And the car motor is a really straightforward one. It has one job, and that's move the car with a given velocity. So down in the assets here, I'm going to right click on assets, create and a folder, and change this to scripts. And then inside the scripts folder, right click, create folder and car. And then inside the car folder, right click, create scripting and mono behavior script, and call this CarMotor. Unity will wear away for a bit, but hopefully then you'll get some code appearing on the right hand side here. With that created, we can select the car here, add component, type car, and you should find the CarMotor. So I'll do Control S to save. And to finish off this introductory video, all we'll do is get the car moving basically along its local X in a straight line. To do that, we need to edit this code. Before we open it, a quick word on the code editor. So if I go to edit and preferences, in the external tools section here, you can see that I'm using Visual Studio Code. If you want to use Visual Studio, by all means do so. If you have it installed, it'll be an option here. My preference is VS Code, so that's what I'll be using for this series. So I'll close that down and double click on CarMotor, and that opens up Visual Studio Code. Now, as I said, our CarMotor is a really simple component. It's simply going to move the game object and nothing else. To do that, it's going to have two things. One is a function which will be updated every physics frame to actually move, and the other thing is a velocity property which will be set either from the player movement component, which we don't have, or the CPU movement component, which we also don't have, but they're coming later. Seeing as we don't have those, we'll temporarily put some velocity hard-coded into here so we can actually see something moving. So at the top of the class here then, we'll make a new public property, which is going to be velocity with a public getter and setter, and set a hard-coded value for now of 3f, and you'll see later on that this will be set from other components. Then the start we don't need. And then the update will change to fixed update, so we're synced with the physics. We can remove this as well. And then inside the fixed update, what we can do is update the transform.position by adding on transform.right multiplied by the velocity, and we want to multiply that by time.fixedDeltaTime. So back inside Unity then, just checking the car does have the component. It does. Let's run this, and we should find that it just moves basically in a straight line to the right across the screen. And there we go. Goodbye car. All right then, so I'll close that down. Let's drop back into VS Code. Now, as I said, later on, other components are actually going to tell the car motor to drive effectively. So what we'll do is prepare for that now, because I don't want to forget it later on. We'll make a new function called public void move forward, and this will be called from these other components, so the player move component or the CPU movement component. And into that, we'll send in the delta time. So we can take this line from here and paste it in here and replace the time.fixedDeltaTime there. And what we'll do for now is simply in the fixed update is actually invoke the move forward. Now in terms of actually what's going to happen on the screen, nothing has changed at all, but you'll see in the next video when we start setting up some inputs, we'll actually be invoking this from the player movement, and we'll remove this out of this script. I'd like to check that we're still working okay though, so for one last time, let's go back into the Unity IDE, and then running the application, hopefully a car moves across the screen and we don't have any errors in the console or anything like that. No, we don't. That's all looking good. Cool, so I'll close that down, and we've made a good start there, I think, and it's a good place probably to stop this particular video. What we're going to do in the next one then is actually set up the input system so we can start driving the car. So thanks very, very much for taking the time to watch this one, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.